I started to be called the big game hunter when I did recruiting. I'd hunt down leaders and staff organizations, did it for a long time, filled a lot of full time positions plus consulting assignments. Now, as I see I'm connecting on LinkedIn, let's see now if I can recognize from my mouth where it is. And next week, I'm going to experiment with a different service to see if it works better. But for today, I'm using Restream, and we'll keep plugging through. I'll just simply say people now hire me for no BS job search advice and career coaching globally because I make things so much easier for people professionally. And I just want to say, you matter. You matter to me. And so many people are out of work right now. Um, I think of this as an economic time where there are lots of college educated staff professionals who are getting hit by staff reductions. And the government and media reporting doesn't really say that. They talk about a good job market. For example, last month there were 187,000 new jobs created. And then when I went through the statistics, okay, if you worked in leisure and hospitality, you were okay. Waiters, bartenders, and such. If you worked in construction, you were good. If you were a teacher, you got hired. And there were relatively few jobs created that might equate to LinkedIn. Oh, I forgot. There were positions that were either government employees or funded by government, like social services jobs. And, that's not an economy that serves people on LinkedIn, not college educated professionals. And it bothers me that the government is this number here. Cameron, welcome. Let me just put your, I'm sorry, I clicked in the wrong place. Thank you and welcome to Career Coach Office Hours. As I was just about to say, if someone has a question for me about their job search, please put the question in the chat. People forwarded questions to me in advance, so I have some that are already lined up. But if you're here, let's take the people who are here instead of the ones who aren't here. So I'll just simply say I feel badly for a lot of folks on LinkedIn because my feed is so full of people who've been hit with layoffs. It's painful, at least for me, to read all these posts of people who are open to work. And a man named David Fano, or Fano, I'm not sure which way he pronounces it, posted a screenshot using LinkedIn Recruiter. And the search was uh, for people in the United States who used, who had the hashtag open to work on their profile. There were 26 million people in the United States who are open to work. And I know everyone's out of work. There are people trying to improve their circumstances who are listed there. Still, it's 26 million people. And even if half of them were actually out of work, it's 13 million, and the US is 160 million. Figure that's about 8% of the US workforce that's open to work on LinkedIn. So I know I just have to look at my feed every day to see how difficult it is. And I started to do these career coach office hours again because I understood it's part of the reason I recently launched Job Search. It's a new site for me, a big master site for a long time. But if you go to Job Search Community, you'll find on the homepage I've got video courses. I've got some good information to help you with your job search that's available there. And if you become an insider and just click on the button that says Insider. That's toward the bottom of the home. And you use the coupon code Alpha Launch. One word, all in caps. I'm going to give you access to the Insider membership for free through January 1st or up until January 2024. I've got there. And in addition, I field questions from people about their job search. I log in early to see what people have questions about and respond to them. So again, click the button that says Insider, become an Insider member. If you've got questions for me, I answer them through the site up until January 1, 2024, and it's a way that I can help. If you want to speak with me and have questions where you want to get on a quick Zoom call with me, become an Insider Plus member. That's a paid service. I believe it's $79 a month, which, like being an insider, has all my video courses, books, and guides. And you can get on a Zoom call with me for 20 minutes twice a month where I can personally answer your questions. And if you want group coaching or individual coaching, become an Insider Premium member. I want to help. People need help. I want to do that so that you can get good advice about job search instead of trying to figure it out on your own through trial and error. So I'll just simply say, if you're watching and you've got a question for me, put your questions into chat. I'll be very happy to respond to them. Now, let me just see now. I've got a message here from John, um, who says, John 22K, can you discuss case interviews? I have a candidate-led case interviews this Friday. I submitted a presentation deck to the company, meeting with the hiring director and two senior directors. And let me just see what he continues by saying. Next, he says, this is a technology-focused case interview. And he says it's a fourth round. So I want to start off by acknowledging case studies are not really my strong suit, and I know quite a bit about them. So there are people who are stronger with case interviews than me. And the thing I always tell people to do is ask lots of questions in advance, because part of what they want to see is not that you've dealt with things superficially based upon what they threw at you, but you have a better class of question to dig in deeper so you know what the case is really all about. And if you haven't done that, it's important to backtrack in order to get more information to prepare for the case study. So, you know, he's mentioned that it's going to be on Friday. Today is Tuesday as I record this. And thus, you do have time to message them and say, I've been doing preparation, but I realize there's some more things I need to know in order to be fully ready for this. And I just want to check. And then you ask a series of additional questions to cover some of the issues that might not have been addressed in the case. So again, John, that's probably the best place I can start. And I wish you good luck. And if there are more questions, put a message in the chat. I'd be very happy to answer it as well. I'll also say, have you checked profiles of the people you'll be meeting with? It's a fourth round. So after you do the case, one thing that often occurs is that there are things that they're going to want to dig into deeper from previous rounds where there might have been rough edges. And thus, you always want to make sure that you mentally review some of the rough edges that took place on previous round interviews that may be left hanging in the air, so that in this way, you're able to address them in the course of your interview with them. So again, just spend a little time in review just to see if there was anything that answered her to then I'm seeing, video freezing there, and I don't like that. So next week I'll use StreamYard and see how that goes. So my apologies if you're trying to watch me on LinkedIn. I believe in the information about the show, I left a link for this on YouTube. So you can go over there and post questions to me there, or try on this platform, try on LinkedIn, and I'll answer your questions here. When you go back to restream, 1 second, my apologies, and questions over here. Good. So let me get to some of the ones that were sent to me in advance. I want to look at resumes or cover letters first. Um, there's no simple answer to this. Some people do one, some people do it the other. Let me tell you what I did. If the cover letter was sent to me as a separate attachment, that is, a resume and cover letter were emailed to me and they were attached to the email, I never opened the cover letter. I just cared about the resume. Now, if this was a marketing system, and they follow the advice that I give, and for cover letters that I teach, where flush left, you put the required skills and functionality you perform, and then flush right, what you do is you put the how long, how recently you've used that technology or done those terms, use those terms. Um, that serves you to make it page one if you're uploading it to an applicant tracking system. John, I'm going to come to you in just 1 second. Bear with me. So the goal is if you're uploading it, making it page one and doing what I just told you, gives the system the keywords that it's looking for. And then it sees them again in the body of the resume. So that in this way, you're stacking the resume, you're stacking the upload in a way that it wants to see it. And thus, the goal for you is to, I don't want to say trick the system, but give the system really what it wants. That is information about you. Whoa, really that simple. And if I were getting an upload like that, I read the cover letter because it was the first thing that someone sent to me. So that's the way I would respond. And I think most people would respond. I would never open a second attachment that said like a name of cover letter doc. I'd always just go to the resume because what's the cover letter going to tell me? So I hope that you found that helpful. And let me come back to John here, who says, yes, I reviewed the profiles of the people I meet. It's a panel interview to review a previous project I worked on in a case interview setting. One thing I want to point out in a panel interview is, number one, is this by video or in person? And I'm going to start talking here, wait for John to answer. Because in person, there's one way to respond and to carry yourself versus on camera. So in person, I always remind people, think of it like a talk show. On a talk show, and they have a panelist talking to the host and people at the panel, they kind of go, in a way where they're making eye contact. So the first person you speak to is the question. And let's say there are four people on the panel, you can go around the circle and make eye contact with each. And thus, you're talking to each person, and then You eventually get to the point where you finish by talking to the person who asked the question. On camera, it's a little bit different. It's one of the few times I suggest gallery view because that allows you to talk to them in a way where eye contact. And you can say, as you're talking to them, at times you can say, "Excuse me if I'm not making eye contact with you." On camera with 4 people, 5 of us on screen, I'd like to do that, but there's no simple way to. And just start off by mentioning that because there's certain things about eye contact that firms look for, even if they don't say it, intuitively, that's what people look for. Is eye contact with someone so they feel like you're connecting with them. So, again, no simple answer, but that is the best way to address it. Next question I received is, how do you know you waste an interview and will receive an offer? Now, I'm going to deal with this in 2 parts. You know you waste an interview and just simply say, Berg mentioned, would you be able to review my LinkedIn profile? That's something I charge for. Um, and I just simply, if you, let me just make sure I give you the right address to go to. Um, bigggamehunter.us/critique. You can order a and resume critique from me. You mentioned this is fully remote on Zoom, so that second part is really what um, reboot your system beforehand to be sure, unless you're on a Mac where it doesn't reboot just to make sure that you are not going to have anything bringing you up. So that's my one reminder for you. And again, yes, I critique LinkedIn profiles and resumes, but I charge for that. I'll also again mention giving away a lot of free information to help people. My new site is in alpha at JobSearch.community. If you use the code alpha launch in caps, I'm giving away free link free insider membership until January 1, 2020, where it also fields your questions. And I've got video courses, books, and guides to help you with research. Let's see now. Next question is, I was saying, how do you know you waste an interview and will receive an offer? Let me answer that in 2 parts. Instinctively, you know you did well on the interview, but the way you confirm it from them is they start doing, and you notice what they're doing to sell to you. They're spending time talking with you about the opportunity. They made the switch. They didn't say, "So do you have any questions for us?" And then they're selling. They're just in there selling. So that to me is what I called in one of my videos the headhunter secret to knowing you did well on an interview. Now, the second part of your question was, and receive an offer. That doesn't guarantee that you're going to get an offer because you're competing with people. And the other people can do well too. And as a matter of fact, they may do even better than you. So there's no guarantee about getting the offer. But you know you did well when they start selling to you because they want to leave you wanting the job so that they're making the decision. Well, it's less about. Okay. Next question is to mention my academic marks in a LinkedIn profile. If you're 40 years old, it's completely unnecessary. But if you're 20 years old or 22 years old, yes, put your GPA in. It's good. It's good. What happens is, why I graduated next. Not a good move on your part. So don't do that kind of stuff. Just leave it very simply. You know, without the GPA, if your grades are mediocre or worse. If they're great grades from a great school, by all means, always put them on your profile, always put them in your resume. It will help you by helping you stand out from others. I'll just mention again, if you've got a question for me and you're live, you can put it into chat so I can answer your questions. If you're not live and I'm going to be back next Tuesday again, you can always message me your questions in advance. I'll try and get to it, but I commit to only doing this for a half hour show, maybe 35 minutes tops. And thus, I'll try and get to on one of the ensuing shows. So again, my URL from linkedin.com /IN /the big game. Message your question there. So I can help you because you matter to me. Really do. Here we go. More questions. The recruiter said they're interviewing other candidates and will give me an update next week. But I didn't know they were doing interviews. I was shortlisted for a second step assignment and submitted. Let me just see if I can get to the end here. Bear with me. And submitted and was waiting for the result. Should I move on? Good question. You keep interviewing, keep trying to get more interviews. They're not ready to propose marriage yet. They are interested, but they may still be talking to two more people by the time they get back to you. So until they're ready to make an offer, all that's happening is they are not committed. They're still in the evaluation process. Thus, your goal should be keep trying to date other people until they are ready to propose marriage to you, in which case then you've got a choice to make. It could be to join them. It could also be to turn down an offer from them. There's no way I can guide you in that regard, but I can encourage you as I am. Keep interviewing because they're not ready to commit to you. Um, what are your top job interview questions for evaluating a company's profile of a person who succeeds? Got it. Good. Um, John, I'm going to come back to you with a question in just a moment. I'm going to pop it on the screen in the meantime. So, what's the best question to ask? I start off with, you know, let's say you hire me and I come on board. What would your expectations for me be during the first 30, 60, 90? Carolyn, I'll get to you in a second. Thank you. And I'll just start by saying, from there, that's a throwaway question for me because the next question is, say you hire me and I come on board. It's a year from now, and you are thrilled with the decision you made to hire me. All they've accomplished during that year, they'll make you think that, which gives you a sense of what their expectations for you are. And then I would follow up with the question that you're looking for, which is, so tell me about the last person who was in this role. What do they do well? Because you want to keep doing that. What could they have done better? Because you want to improve upon that and make them happy. Oh, they were terrific. Really? Why aren't they here any longer? Well, we promoted them into a new role, or they left for a better opportunity, which makes me pause and ask, what made it a better opportunity? You know? Yeah, they wouldn't be working for me is the joke I always tell. But the goal is to engage with and get them talking and seeing if what they're saying is credible. So that's the way I would really approach answering that question. Now, on to John's question, which I kept on the screen. And Carolyn, I can see you here. I'll come to you next. What's your outlook on the IT job market this Q4 and going into 2024? I kind of addressed that, but didn't talk about IT top of the show. At the top, I said Well, actually, I spoke about how on LinkedIn, there's, all I'm seeing on my feed are what I call college educated staff reductions coming through my feed. And when I listen to the government talking about jobs, they talk about it's a great economy. We created 187,000 new jobs. But most of these jobs are not for people who are on LinkedIn. These are in hospitality, construction, government jobs, teaching jobs, jobs that require government funding. And last month, when I went through the report, it came down to 9,000 jobs that might have fit. Now, let me go into Q4. I'm sorry, Q4 in the early part of next year for IT. If you're a CFO of a firm and you're finalizing budgets in October, beginning November, how much new spend do you think you're authorizing given the economic climate? Given that we've got a presidential election coming up that's going to be bizarre to say the least. And the answer is not a lot of new spend until they get clear about what the economy is going to be like. So I pause and say to you, you know, make people fall in love with you at work. And at the same time, activate your network or reactivate your network of people as you go into Q4 with hi, how are you contacts, so that in this way you're reconnecting and you're not asking about a job. Although, and you can say, well, if you offer me one, I wouldn't mind. See who you were, say hi, reconnect. You popped into my mind. It's been a while since we last spoken. How are you? How your husband's partner, dog, cat, whatever. How are you? Just want to say hi and see how you were. And don't ask about a job. They ask you, but like I said, your name popped into my mind and I want to see how you. And then in a month or so, you can circle and see how they are again, what's going on with them, and then ask them for some help with your job search. And Carolyn asks, stop working in March 2020 during the pandemic. Will I get an interview? Carolyn, um, it's going to be tough, as you already know. It's going to be 4 years next March. I'm sorry, 4 years next March since you last worked. Now, I'll also say it depends on what you do. There are some people who will give you a shot. Government is one of those places. And you might look at listings with the federal government to see if there's something local to you with the federal government, state and local governments as well. Agencies that get their funding from state and local governments. That's another place where you have a shot. But private sector is going to be real tough. And I know you knew that already. You're not dumb about these things. It's hard out there. It's hard out there for people with pristine resumes. And yours would not be pristine, quite obviously. So I'll just simply say it's tough out there. And I'm sorry you haven't worked since March 2020. Take me up on my offer at JobSearch.community for free insider membership. Put the coupon code Alpha Launch in the checkout so that this way I can help you. It'll be free until January 1, 2024. Okay. Anyone else have a question they want to put into chat? I'd be very happy to answer it. If not, I'm going to close out today because I do these for about a half hour on Tuesdays. And if not, I'm Jeff Altman. Hope you enjoyed today's show. I hope you found it helpful. If you did and you're watching on YouTube, share it, leave a comment, click the like button. Do something that lets people know it was worthwhile. Do the same thing on LinkedIn as well. I'm sorry, Carolyn wants to know the website address, jobsearch.community. Yeah, I know, dot community. And I've built a community site there. There's lots of free information, including stuff that will help you interview like an all-star. Again, I'm giving it to you for free if you use the code Alpha Launch, all one word in caps at checkout. This way, I can help you and also ask me questions with the site as well. So, again, I'll be back on Tuesday with more. Look out for Career Coach office hours at noon Eastern. I think that may be on the second, but I'm not absolutely sure. Uh, and if you're not able to attend, mark that you will attend, and you'll be able to watch the video at your convenience, either here or on YouTube, because that's where I'm publicizing it to. I also want to mention that the website JobSearch.community has a ton of great information to help you. Plus, there are areas, community areas, where people are asking questions. I'm answering. Others can help as well. I want to help more people. That's why I rolled this out. And as you'll see, I've made this very inexpensive. Like if I were charging for insider membership now, it'd be $49 a month, which I'm answering questions daily from people. So again, jobsearch.community, use the code Alpha Launch at checkout, even for Insider Plus membership, where I'm getting on Zoom calls with you twice a month to answer your questions. That's $79 a month. And you have access to all the great content on the site and me. And if you decide you want me to coach you, that's Insider Premium, or I do group and one-on-one coaching to help more people. And it's less than what I'm charging now for individual coaching. So I'll simply say, I'll be back next week with more. I hope you have a terrific day. You matter to me. That's why I'm doing as much as I am to help more people. Have a terrific day and be great. Take care.